we're back for game number 2 of our second best of 2 of the day. Rattlesnake taking on Team Liquid, another East versus West matchup, which has really just characterized the entire group stage. We've had some interesting results so far, including Team Liquid getting past Tongfu yesterday in a really surprising match. Tongfu, a team that was in great shape. We'd casted them leading up to that and really were playing in top form, but now Team Liquid comes out against Rattlesnake, who has had some consistency issues of their own, really considered to be, I mean, and again, not in the pejorative necessarily, just as an honest evaluation, Rattlesnake, a team considered to be in the bottom half of the standings, in the bottom tier, quote-unquote, of the international caliber teams, of course, playing their way in through as a wild card. But Liquid in game 1 really just looked a wreck. They had moments of brilliance. They had some things going early on, but then they got a little reckless, and the recklessness just piled up more and more mistakes. Over time, Rattlesnake was just able to capitalize, and by the time all was said and done, they were just flat out running Team Liquid over. So Liquid going to look to keep their hopes of a high seed alive if they can split this series. Rattlesnake, though, not having much hope of a high seed given their poor performance yesterday, winning only one match, needs to make sure this is a 2-0 if they really want to have any shot of making it into the upper bracket by the time all is said and done here today and tomorrow. IBC. Joined by Draskell for the broadcast, but yeah, man, I think we were both pretty much in agreement. Liquid, as good as they looked for the first, 5-6 minutes, they just kind of let loose, and it didn't really go their way.
Yeah, more or less, Rattlesnake just outplayed them. There's nothing else to really say. On paper, looking at Liquid's lineup from the last game, I would have said there is a very small chance that Rattlesnake would have had to win if everything went mechanically the way it should. But of course, this is Dota, and everybody makes mistakes, and people get outplayed, and stuff happens. So Rattlesnake was able to outplay, outthink, outmaneuver pretty much everything Team Liquid. Like they just didn't have any answer for it. And it's the exact same first 3 picks as we saw in game number 1. Lifestealer, Alchemist, the answer to the Wisp. Maybe Liquid were happy with their draft to the point where they think that if they had another chance, they could possibly just do it again and make it work this time, which for Rattlesnake, like you said, this game has a lot of implications. They absolutely need the wins. If they don't get wins, there's pretty much no way they are going to be getting into the upper bracket. And unlike Group A, Group B right now, there's actually 4 teams right now who are sitting at 4 wins apiece. But Tongfu hasn't played yet. So there are 3 teams sitting at 4-3, Tongfu's at 4-2, and the other stats haven't actually updated yet. So for them, they still could make it if Orange lose and they beat Liquid here. But otherwise, they're pretty much going to be in the lower bracket.
Team Liquid looking for something to pair up with the IO now. CK definitely available, but you and I both have seen Liquid have success with, the Bear, the Ursa. And that's something that I think either of us would have been happy to see in Game 1. Might be something they're thinking about here. Maybe you go ahead and spin to pick on. There you go. The Bear, Ursa, going to be joining us for the... Going to be joining us for Game 2, and anytime I get to see Ursa on the map, I'm just the happiest guy, man. Ursa just makes me happy. It's so fun watching him just tear people's faces off, no matter what fan of it or what team you're a fan of. But Ursa actually does have a lot of ways you can creatively build him to tailor-make him to deal with the enemy team. And we've seen that in a number of times. Sometimes you just go with the ultra mobility build. Last time we saw Liquid play an Ursa, he built a Blink Dagger as well as a Force Staff.
5 seconds
and just so he can make sure he was on top of people. He's a hero you can even build a Shadow Blade on. And I've even seen really unorthodox builds like a Diffusal Blade come out on the Ursa, especially when you're talking about the ability to gank with an IO, the ability to just as soon as you land, you're going to have the tether stun, and if someone tries to re-engage, you defuse them, you can slow them down, gives you time to run away or to re-engage onto them, or just to prevent anyone from kiting you out. So Liquid picking up the Ursa, not just for funsies, picking it up because it's a hero they know how to run and has a lot of flex in him, even though he does have a very, very stark set of weaknesses as well.
As getting kited is pretty much the biggest thing with an Ursa. But the thing is, Ursa's base move speed is insane. And plus he's going to have a Wisp tether on top of that, so he's going to be more or less a race car in this game. And it's going to be very, very scary for heroes like Lifestealer and Alchemist to deal with. And they're going to ban out the Clockwork this time. The one thing that I thought Liquid would do is, in game number 1 between these 2 teams, I mentioned that when the CK was picked, I was expecting an Ursa. But the reality is, you probably wanted to take something like a Bane instead. Rattlesnake did their homework, and they banned out the Viper, I believe, last game, left the OD in the pool. But they didn't ban Ursa.
Right.
So I don't
5
think they would have
seconds
banned it here,
remaining.
and getting the Bane also secures the possibility of using that Nightmare to disjoint the Alchemist stun. You're going to have the Enfeeble, but they're actually going to get a Banned Razor instead and just take the
Team
Visage. So I
Liquid's
wouldn't be
turn
shocked to
to
see
pick.
Liquid go with the Bane here, or potentially even pick their mid now, because if they're not going to take the Bane now, then they probably won't take it at all, but we'll see.
This is definitely a game where a Korok Puck, I think, could very much be on the menu. Going to depend on what they want to prioritize. The two obvious ones with the OD gone now are Puck and Queen of Pain. It just comes down to what Liquid values more, the ability to control
10
team
seconds
fights, which,
remaining.
given it is a handful, or two core
5
lineup
seconds
of two
remaining.
melee heroes. Granted, one does have magic immunity, but that might be something they want to explore, or if they're just looking
Reserve
to snowball, basically. If I'm not mistaken, the Ursa game they played last time, Korok was on a Queen of Pain. Or am I just completely wrong about that?
No, he played Queen, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a hero that could help the Ursa snowball even more, just being able to help shore up his weaknesses. She actually has pretty good range, certainly with Sonic Wave. Scream of Pain is not.
Wait. I want to correct myself. That game he was playing Ursa.
Oh, he was playing Ursa.
Yeah, I think he was. Am I? I don't know. It all kind of runs together when you cast for like 13 hours
exactly.
at a time.
Yeah, never mind. Irrelevant. A Queen of Pain would work here. A Puck would work here. That's what I'm trying to say, and I stick by it. But yeah, still waiting to see this come out. Rattlesnake, though, sticking to their guns, getting 3 heroes, the Visage, a hero who works really well, adding that ranged magical damage at the physical DPS you get out of a Life Stealer, and certainly a great stun and a great AoE team fight spell in Acid Spray while the Alchemist tries to build himself up. And again, the question is going to be, how are they going to run this Alchemist? Are they going to try to safe lane him again, or is this going to be another farming Alchemist?
I think it's probably going to be farming. It worked in the last game in a weird way. He didn't actually go for the
10
Greevil's
seconds
Greed because he
remaining.
knew that the lane he was against was going to be too much for him to deal with. And Liquid haven't
5
shown their mid yet.
seconds remaining.
So if they're willing to put a Lifestealer against an OD, I think they're perfectly willing to put the Lifestealer against pretty much anything, and they're going to feel okay with it. But actually, Storm
Team
is going to be the
Liquid's
pick.
turn
So
to pick.
this actually does bring up the Alchemist in the support role, because the Lifestealer is going to be getting farmed pretty much no matter what. And it also gives a nice vessel for the Lifestealer to get into melee range. The one thing is, though, you have to be really careful about that, because obviously the Ursa is not going to be able to focus the Storm that well because of Ball Lightning and his just overall mobility. But if you just kind of hop out when the Storm Spirit goes in to drop the Vortex, as soon as the Ursa is not disabled anymore, you need to run, because it's going to hurt a lot. But Team Liquid, they're going to pick up the DK. That is potentially going to be their mid against the Storm. And that matchup, it's pretty much a wash. Storm's going to spam Remnants for
10
CS and
seconds
harass a bit,
remaining.
and Dragonite's going to spam Breathe Fire for farm. And it's pretty difficult to
5
gank
seconds
if you're going to be
remaining.
using Liquid's setup for their supports, like the Bane and the Wisp. They're not going to be
Reserve
leaving the
time.
lane, so Rattlesnake will have the capability of roaming early on if they see that it's necessary.
I really love the Dragon Knight pickup so much for Liquid, because it takes a little pressure off the Ursa. I mean, the thing about an Ursa, he is very much a snowball hero. He's not a hero who gets behind and then manages to really just fight his way back into it like many heroes can, and Alchemist being a perfect example of that. But more to the point, the Dragon Knight gives them a late game viable, not just off carry, but a true carry who is going to actually help the Ursa with the slow and the way he can manipulate a fight with his level 16 Elder Dragon form. So you have this situation, and that's on top of other things as well, by the way. The Dragon Knight, a very nice answer to a Lifestealer and an Alchemist who are physical melee DPSers. He's naturally tanky. Dragon's Blood never really gets bad. Obviously, if you max him, you're just unbelievably hard to kill for those heroes early on. But that bonus armor never stops being relevant. So you have that. You have his ability, again, to help the Ursa out in terms of slowing targets down, allowing him to get on top of them and stay on top of them, managing it with the AoE Scotty effect that comes off of his Elder Dragon form. And it just, to me, gives them so much more versatility in how they want to play this game out. If they don't have a hero like that who is going to match up at least
5
marginally
seconds
well with the
remaining.
Alchemist and the Lifestealer late, then they get into this mode like
Rattlesnake,
game one. Like in
turn
game
to
one, I
pick.
really do believe they got into a mode where they
Team
realized
Liquid's turn
that they
to
had to do
pick.
everything at once. They had to do all the things at once. And they just got frantic about it. That's where the mistakes started to happen, because they had no real late game viability or utility that they could fall back on. And instead, this time, the DK pick, I just like that pick to me is just so smart. Rattlesnake, though, gonna answer that with a Shadow Fiend.
That is really bizarre, actually. Mainly because Shadow Fiend typically, he could go mid here,
10
because he's going to be
seconds
against the
remaining.
DK. And they can safe lane the Storm Spirit, and they can put an aggressive tri-lane against, like, they would use the Visage Alchemist Lifestealer against the Bane Ursa Wisp, which wouldn't be that bad necessarily, but it's just really strange. Like, this is
turn to pick.
kind of a greedy lineup, actually, by Rattlesnake. When you pick a Storm and a Shadow Fiend together, those heroes both need levels, and they both need some semblance of farm. So I'm interested to see how they're actually going to be running this. It could be just a Lifestealer in the jungle, and they could just farm the Alchemist in lane with the Visage and then sack the offlane, but then they would have nowhere to put the Storm or the Shadow Fiend. It's like totally a bizarre matchup for me. I think really their only option is to run the aggressive try.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. It's that's the only thing that really does make a ton of sense. But this is just quintessential Rattlesnake again. This is what I remember of them, casting them in G1 match after match, and really got to see there's like going back to G1. That was actually the first real competitive tournament they had played in. They had played like one show match, like one best of 3 up to then, and even just in front of my eyes, then I could see their style begin to develop. And this is what they love to do. I mean, we talk about like Fnatic running a 3-core lineup. This is essentially a 5-core lineup. Like even the Visage wants a fair amount of farm so he can get up a scepter. I mean, this is a lineup that wants everyone to be getting kills. And, well, more to the point, it wants everyone to be getting levels and gold. And when you have that many heroes in a lineup like this, the only way you can accomplish it is by fighting over and over and over again. You'll give farm priority to some heroes, but generally speaking, if you want Lanham, if you want SAG in particular, to be able to keep up with the flash farming capability of Luo, the Grievel's Greed of Kabu, Icy, etc., you just got to put them out there, let them fight, let them get dirty, let them skin their knees a little bit.
I'm so curious to see how this is going to work for Rattlesnake. I have not really seen anything quite like this before. And Liquid, by running the aggressive tri-lane, it pretty much just means they wanted to dodge. They didn't want to have to go against Rattlesnake's tri-lane. And if they do willingly, I think it's actually a bit of a mistake. Because Ursa, he's not a terrible laner, but he's not really that good either. And you're going to have a Bane, but you're not going to have really any way to follow up in terms of being able to do damage. Because as soon as you go in, you're going to get Grave Chilled, and then you're not going to be able to do much else. You're going to get stunned by an Unstable Concoction, and of course this is a support Alchemist, so he's going to be leveling Spray on top of that. And it didn't go well for a CK, and a CK in this tri-lane between the Wisp and the Bane is better than an Ursa in pretty much every single way, because you're not going to have Reality Rift to use your tether stuns, you're not going to have a Chaos Bolt to initiate, you're going to be able to walk into them and make bear noises. That's pretty much how you're going to start fights. So I actually think that they might even be at a bigger disadvantage in their laning this game than they were in Game 1.
Rattlesnake setting up shop. Just going to be a pure support Alchemist, it would seem. Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to be. It's nothing, just 100% pure support Alchemist with Luo. On the Shadow Fiend, here in mid, Lanham, TC going to be going toe-to-toe. And Icy going to be taking on Bulba. And this, yeah, I mean, when you look at these lanes, it's all going to be about this top lane. These other lanes, heroes should do fine. TC and Lanham should both do fine here down in bottom. Bulba's going to be under some pressure, but he's not going to have problems soaking up levels. It's not like he should get run out of lane purely right off the bat. He should even be able to get a little bit of gold. So when you look up here, just getting the Ursa off to a good start as we talk.
Mid.
Wow. Okay, never mind. Apparently, Lanham's just going to come out in First Blood TC at level, or yeah, he's going to First Blood TC at level 1 completely. What the hell happened? How does that happen?
That is called over-aggressive farming, and TC doesn't have a stout shield. That's pretty much what happened.
I'm just baffled. Like, Storm, I mean, he's level 3 now, by the way, so he's a full level ahead already. And that's definitely not the start that Liquid was looking for. And, that's so surprising to me because TC on DK, I mean, he knows the hero very well. Very rare to see him make a mistake, especially that egregious, to just get that far out in a matchup where he knows he can't just afford to let him get too far ahead too early on.
Yeah, I think he underestimated how much damage Storm can actually do if he's putting more points into Overload. Lanham's going for the lane dominance build here. He's put 2 points into Overload, he only has 1 Vortex, and his autos really hurt because he was pooled regeneration. They gave him a set of tangos, so he was able to start with a null. And again, when you expect a DK mid, there are ways of punishing that. I really did think that TC would go stout, because with a stout shield, the harass isn't nearly as threatening in the early phases, and sure, it'll put you farther away from your bottle, but you'll be able to sustain the lane a little bit better, and he certainly wouldn't have died like that if he had one. But that's putting a lot more emphasis on this tri-lane, because honestly, Bulba is going to get crushed by a Lifestealer. There's just nothing that he can do against that hero, against strength in general. Icy and Lifestealer is going to be able to do just fine, and he even went boots, so he knows that he can continue to apply pressure. And unlike going a mid matchup, having the point into Inner Beast is going to help his lane push, sure, but he doesn't have any runes to go for, so he's not going to be able to fall back on that mana regeneration to spam axes to get farm. Honestly, Rattlesnake pretty much just win two of their lanes hands down. The only one that could be contested is top, and I still feel like Rattlesnake had the advantage there too.
Bulba gonna eat an open wounds, decided to go for a last hit, didn't even get the last hit, and now gonna be pursued out. But Bulba did pick up a set of boots of his own, so is gonna be able to at least somewhat kite it out. But he is running out of regen very quickly. 2 tangos and a salve left for Icy, and he's not gonna need either of them most likely. As Bulba, as you said, taking some autos. He is getting some decent experience. He's not being completely zoned out, but about half a level behind Icy now. And taking a look at the CS, we can see, I mean, he's got 7. Not quite the 18, which leads the board for Icy, but he is getting some gold. In mid, TC has recovered okay-ish. I mean, you die that early, you respawn super quick, so other than delaying his bottle quite a bit, he has managed to bounce back and at least stay in the vicinity, sitting at 13 to the 20 of his counterpart there in mid. And up here at top, though, we can see the Shadow Fiend is actually suffering quite mightily. Luo with only 4 CS to his name. Compare that to the 18 of the Ursa, and yeah, the offensive tri lane working all right for the North Americans.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising actually. They're just doing a really good job of controlling the lane, and they're always contesting the pull because they have that ward that can see where the supports are. So Liquid are playing the top lane very, very well. Bulba being able to soak experience is nice, but the Lifestealer is going to get to a point where he's too much to deal with, and if he buys phase boots right now, and kills that boar, then Bulba could just flat out die. And he realizes that he just runs to the side. He knows that there's no way that he can potentially sit in the lane anymore with Icy being here. So, very scary situation, honestly, for Liquid. And Lanham is 6, by the way, and he has a regeneration, so the rest of Liquid's tri-lane, fortunately, is going to be falling back because the wave's pushing out. So, all things considered, I suppose it could be going worse, but DK is still getting pretty handled here in mid by the Storm as well. So it's a 2-for-1 lane trade right now in favor of Rattlesnake.
Here the unstable concoction channeling. Kabu gonna end up popping it on himself. Take a swing, big guy. So we'll just go ahead and make his way back to lane. Only 1 kill on the board, that bizarre first blood in mid. TC getting way too far ahead since then. All quiet. And big creep wave coming out now, so Bulba, for the moment though, able to sit under his tower, is maxing his Call of the Wild, of course, having his little animal buddies come help him. Now Bulba is just going to be in trouble here, and the Infest not enough to clean him up. There won't be any reaction though, as Icy just finding himself a kill. Bulba even under his own tower with that, and you know, that was kind of bizarre to me, because if he's going to hang around the tower like that, knowing open wounds is there, knowing he has the phase boots, as you had mentioned, you would imagine there would have been communication with someone from Liquid that, hey, if he goes on me, you have to come here, otherwise I need to just back. And that didn't happen at all.
Well, the thing is, if anybody leaves the top lane, then Liquid can't do anything. Like, you can't rely on the supports to help you in this scenario if you're the Beastmaster, because they need to go for kills. And speaking of, they will actually manage to get a kill mid, actually. 1v1, TC gets his revenge on Lanham. I don't even know, man. Like, when you die 1v1 as a Storm versus a DK, there is something seriously wrong.
Yeah.
But both heroes die respectively, and more mistakes being made in game number 2 by both sides this time. But it's good for Liquid, because TC needed that kill. Like, he wasn't winning the lane. He was pretty far behind on CS, but that's going to help him tremendously. I don't think Bulba's going to get as lucky, though, because it's pretty darn hard to kill a Lifestealer as a Beastmaster at pretty much any stage in the game. But with the help of Ursa and a Beastmaster Roar, it is possible.
Icy, just about level 8, does not have Infest, has 1 salve. If he has to use it, no wand charges. They are going to commit a lot to this, and Bulba going to run right up. There it is, the tether's there, and Icy learning what it's like to be earth-shocked by a big old bear. Very, very important kill for them to accrue. Bulba now, along with Korok, they're going to rush down the tier 1. Lanham, not really in fighting shape, has a couple of bottle charges if he wants to get over here to try to defend. But so far, looks like they just won a trade, as Rattlesnake now moving to the top tier 1 as well. Neither of them particularly pushing that hard, though.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go for the tier 1. They just wanted to make their presence felt, so they give some relief to the Beastmaster at this point in time. But when they do that, Luo, he's getting some CS now. So he's getting some souls up. He'll be able to jungle too now because he's finally level 5, which means he has level 3 raise. So whenever you have to do things like that, it is making a sacrifice if you're Liquid. It's saying, okay, we're going to help out the Beastmaster, but we're also losing out on farm because now there's 2 people bottom who need farm, Korok and Bulba both. Obviously, they're going to be prioritizing Korok in this case, and Fluff desperately needs 6 on top of that. But they left the Bane alone in top, and he'll be able to get 6, but he's not going to be able to stop Luo from farming.
Take a look at Luo. Does have his treads up. Doesn't look like he has anything else on the way to him, so his struggle's well documented, but at least a little bit more survivable now. Rattlesnake trying to make TC a lot less survivable, as he is up on his high ground, drops a ward down. And, yep, they are smoked up. TC sniffing it out. In fact, just going to make a run for the 8-minute rune. It is spotted. Bulba with a bottle of his own. We'll decide who's going to get it. TC going to take it. And here we go. Unstable Concoction. They're going to jump on Bulba. He's vortexed out. And the stun might actually... Yes, the roar afterwards and the follow-up of the Unstable Concoction means Luo's going to die. Or Kabu, rather. Now TC re-engaged upon. And most likely, yep, I was going to say, he might be bailed out as Korok shows up, and it's scary. Lanham doesn't have mana. He can't jump. That's a big kill for Korok to get. The infest of the Lifestealer into the creep. It's going to end up following him around. Very bizarre engagement there. And Icy now going to come back out to his death. Not sure what the plan was, but TC now on a killing spree, who started the match off, giving up a death that really you just couldn't imagine. Not only bounces back and gets a solo kill, now on a killing spree because of it. And Rattlesnake just giving way to the power of the Ursa Warrior.
Bears, man. Bears just do not care. That's pretty much the moral of Liquid's team composition here in game number 2. But yeah, the kills are very, very good. Even TC had a regen rune. That was so clutch that he actually had that, because otherwise he wouldn't have been able to re-engage at all. And the Storm used pretty much all his mana. By the way, this is an earned Storm. Like that's crazy talk. But Kabu, he's level 3 in mid. He's going to be having some hard times here.
And there's the Fiend's Grip. No help handy. Free kill, and Bulba going to take that. So much needed gold for him after a bit of a struggle down in that bottom lane. Liquid now doubling up. Rattlesnake going to make it 6-3. And the gold was at 1 point up to 1,500 in favor of Rattlesnake. Now has crossed the middle line. The experience 3,000. They're going to try to engage. TC going to be the target. Vortex back, and the damage is there. Open wounds going to make it tough, but the Nightmare buys him some time. Mike falling back. Bulba's there. The soul assumption, though, from Visage. More than enough to get the job done, so Rattlesnake finally does get one back on the board.
Yeah, it's a very necessary kill, too. The thing you always have to be conscious of if you're Rattlesnake right now is that during the mid-game, between the Beastmaster Roar and the Dragonite Stun and the Fiend's Grip, they have so much single target disable that whoever they want to kill, they're going to kill. There is not really a whole lot you're going to be able to do about it, because the only method of counter initiation that they have are familiar stuns, and Sagam just hit level 5. So he doesn't even have those yet. The Storm, I suppose, can Vortex, and then you have the Alchemist stun. That's it. Like, you don't really have as much disable as Liquid have, so they're going to have plenty of time to allow Korok to get in range to just bury your face off, more or less. So Rattlesnake's still feeling a little bit squeamish about taking these fights, and they're starting to realize that too. But TC in top lane.
He's just going to engage right on a Sagam. Here comes the IO gank, and Korok's there along with his buddy. Fluff going to eat the stun. Kabu trying to make a run for it. Korok right on his heels. Has the Earthshock, spins it. Couple of swipes. Has to be another kill to his name. A killing spree now for Korok, and pretty sure we've seen this before. Now at bottom, he's going to show back up and maybe get another one. Lanham with just enough mana to bounce back, though. And yeah, they're going to continue to... There's the roar. Lanham still has a bit of mana. Can they burst it fast enough? They cannot. Barely jumps away, now slowed. Out comes Icy, using the open wounds to try and bail his buddy out. Might end up getting himself killed in the process. That urn on that Storm being used now. Here comes the rest of Rattlesnake. Korok, greedy as hell, just going to chase him down to the tier 2. Catches up, gets the kill. Here comes the rest of Rattlesnake, though. Korok going to be vortexed out. Unstable Concoction to follow it. So he got another kill, but he ended up costing his own life. But hell, man, you're going to play Ursa, play Ursa. It's same as before. We talked about it last time. He role plays, man. Bears, like you said, Bears don't care. Bears don't care. Does manage to get a Blink Dagger out of that deal, though. And Ultra Mobility, once again, going to be the name of the game for this Team Liquid composition.
Yeah, the tier 1 top 2 especially. That's like the thing that made that fight. Like, losing Korok is a bit of a bummer, but they made so much money off of that engagement. Oh, TC might be getting initiated on here.
Vortex out there. Got help on the way. Not a help of his own. Help for Rattlesnake. So damn tanky. After recovering as well as he did, they should be able to clean him up, though. Even the urn charge. Hey, what are you doing? You're knocking that urn. I've seen it used twice now. Here we go. They're going to re-engage. Icy there to rage through. And the Feed's Grip well positioned by IX Mike. Korok in the meantime going to clean land him up on the periphery. Icy roared right after the Feed's Grip was a total non-factor. Korok makes it a double kill, bringing down 2. And not done yet. Going to Earth Shock. Eats a little bit of damage. Well, not a little bit. A lot of bit of damage as he got Unstable Concoction in the face. But Bulba and Mike not done yet. Mike does not have enough mana. Now he does for a Brain Sap. Doesn't look like he's going to be in range to use it. But Korok showing off the Blink Dagger. Bit off a bit more than he can chew, but, you know, guys get bigger than your tummy sometimes when you're a bear.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I mean, engaging there that way instead of blinking backwards. If you blink backwards, he would have lived. They didn't kill anyway. But, man, they are just not willing to give up. They're going on TC again.
TC once again caught out. Kabu's there. Luo shadow racing from the high ground. And TC just so damn hard to kill. Keep chasing him. Now there's going to be more reactions. He's still alive. He's not dead. Nope. There we go. The urn charge paying off. Mike going to need an Unstable Concoction. We're going to see Kabu low, but never mind. Korok cleaning house. Can they catch him? The axes thrown from downtown, and Bulba connects. Kabu slowed down from the boar, and Bulba's little buddy helping to secure yet another kill. Hey, familiars are dead too because we're killing everything, including Visage. Korok just going to town. Another triple kill, a double kill and a triple kill in the last 120 seconds. Korok is a madman, and next on the list, Roshan.
Man, that was such a great fight for Liquid. I don't want to be a naysayer, but TC died with 9 charges on his wand and on entrance. For shame. For shame, TC. He died to an urn with 9 charges on his wand. That really should never, ever, 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 ever happen. But, of course, Liquid are going to be fine with that engagement. They get the Aegis, and Rattlesnake come in.
Counter initiation, Lanham roared down, and we'll be able to jump back out because of the Unstable Concoction that stunned everyone out in that small AoE. But I think this is the game Liquid tried to play last time, but they didn't have a bear on their team's the difference. Bulba now being pursued out, will be slowed off. Here comes Lanham, and no! Korok right on his back, and they will be able to clean him up. Luo gets back in the fight. Icy's there, Tether stunned out. Luo down again! Icy now trying to rage through the damage. Bulba's still alive. He's going to infest. Kabu catches Korok out, and once again, he will drop. This time, though, he'll be coming back for more. His Blink Dagger will be off cooldown if he wants to try and chase. Not going to be the case, even though TC had managed to make his way into the battleground. Liquid doubling Rattlesnake up 18-9. Following that fight, we have 27 kills in a 15-minute game. Tell you what, man, first series was a little slow at times. This one's making up for it. The gold, though, just utterly ascending to heights beyond measure for Liquid right now for it to be this stage of a game. You're talking 500 gold per minute advantage they've generated against the team in Rattlesnake, who just flat out outplayed them in game 1.
I think a lot of it has to do with the draft, though. I mean, Liquid's draft in the first game, I think, was equally as good in comparison to this one, but they just made so many mistakes. This game, Liquid aren't making as many mistakes. Of course, TC did get first-blooded 1v1, and then you had Bulba die in the bottom lane against the Lifestealer, but since then, they really haven't done too much to give Rattlesnake anything. And Rattlesnake engaging after Roshan died and the Aegis is already picked up was not a good idea. Like, there's no other way to put it. They knew that there was going to be a Beastmaster Roar because it had been so long since the last engagement that he used it last time top. I mean, that's the last time he roared, so clearly it was going to be up for that last one. So I'm not sure what Rattlesnake were necessarily thinking when they did that, but they certainly do not like playing passive, man. They are just going for it right now.
Moving down towards the tier 1 bottom, there are 2 heroes in the vicinity. That's going to be Bulba and Mike, Beastmaster and Bane respectively. All 5 grouping up. Kabu trying to get his medallion.
Is under attack.
Not far from it at all. And here we go. They're going to look for a target. They're going to find Mike. Mike way too far forward. Walked way too far forward. No, here we go. Counter initiation. Luo's down already. Korok going to work on this team of Rattlesnake. Trying to find him. They get spread out a little bit. Earthshock off the mark. He whiffed on it. Lanham with a passenger inside. They're just running from the bear. That's all this fight is them running from Korok. Beautiful unstable concoction. And now Korok could be in trouble. Nope, too much damage. They managed to track down the Alchemist, and now Sag in trouble. He's going to be eating right clicks from all of the melee heroes. A double kill for TC this time. Icy and Lanham could do nothing but run for the well. And in the meantime, Fluff, too busy being cool, man. Too busy being cool. Just hanging out mid. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he teleported in, so eventually he had to break the tether, and he's like, well, I love you guys, but I gotta go. The space-time continuum calls, and then he flew away. But I don't know necessarily if they're going to be able to push this tier 2, because Rattlesnake are going to be alive, and there's a glyph. So I think they'll probably just back here. Yep. Looks like they're just going to go ahead and choose to retreat instead. But looks like Fluff going to get caught out by Lanham.
Fluff hung around a little too long. There's that Urn Charge again. And Lanham, though, no mana. And lack of mana management is becoming a huge problem. A huge problem for Lanham. So many times, that's at least the third time I've seen him die, because when the bear shows up, he has nowhere to go. He just doesn't have enough to jump even a little bit away. And not that it would help all that much with Korok having a blink and a BKB now and phase boots. Just kiting the bear is becoming hard times. It's not something that's happening very easily. And Rattlesnake is paying the price in a huge way. Now we're going to have another roar. Icy roared out so he can take the tower. Kabu going to spend an unstable concoction. Here comes Korok, though. Once again, Icy cleans up. And Kabu forced to just turn tail and run. TC gonna get a kill at the same time. In the meantime, here comes Io. Fluff landing in, not that it was needed. And Korok is now godlike. We have witnessed a godlike streak in the international preliminaries. And yeah, I think Liquid ought to pick Ursa more. I think, maybe.
Bears are scary. That's really what I'm gonna say.
Visage actually just gets a random kill on Mike. Okay, it was them pushing the tower got initiated on him. TC will be able to make it away. 25-12 though. All said and done, TC did just complete his BKB. And we had, yeah, 37 kills in a 20-minute game. It's been active. It's been active. And yeah.
I would say so.
The gold graph and experience graph, by the way, telling us about what I think we all know, which is Liquid's pretty damn far ahead.
The aggression really coming out from Liquid is the only thing they need to do, because they know that they're ahead. They know that Rattlesnake don't have the heroes to deal with the Ursa until the very, very late game. Like, we're talking like Hex on the Storm, Ghost Scepters up on some heroes so they don't just immediately die, but they don't have any of those things. So this is the point where Korok is going to feel the strongest, and they're more than willing to just keep fighting.
Such a good cancel right there from Korok. Almost spent the Earthshock and whiffed on it. Canceled it mid-animation. That's a very short animation. But, nonetheless, we're at same place, 20 minutes in, and a game of nothing. Like, look at the farm, by the way. 20 minutes in, only one hero has 100 CS, and that's the hero who gave up first blood in mid. And that's a DK. Everyone else, 75, 76-ish or below. They're farming heroes is what they're doing. And in that farming game, Liquid certainly coming out ahead. And HS, 4 of the top 5. And net worth all belong to Team Liquid. They're going to look to take a tower, force another fight. Acid Spray, TC just does not care that much. And Liquid waiting on a creep wave. We'll see. Yep, they're just going to hang out. Not in any big rush. With the mechanism up on Bulba, they know they can survive through and extend these pushes a bit more, even with Acid Spray being a part of it. Korok on the high ground, keeping watch from his perch. Now going to come rushing down. And the tower, down to a quarter health. Let's see. Rattlesnake actually wants to try to contest this. Right now, they're hanging back, but they're not really stopping the push at all. They will glyph. Io there with him. And Korok is going to blink in. There we go. Beautiful tether stun. Lanham blown up before he can move. Roar and feed script onto Kabu. And Liquid not only gets the tower, they get a beyond godlike strength on Korok, and he's going to add to it as Luo drops. Familiars drop. Yeah, they're going to call it. 21 minutes. A 21-minute GG. Rattlesnake, who looked, honestly, it wasn't that they so much made Liquid look bad in game 1. It was just, it looked like a fairly sloppy game, and Rattlesnake just outplayed them. Game 2, No doubt about it. Liquid showed Rattlesnake something they weren't expecting, and Liquid just flat out manhandled them. They end up splitting the series.
Yeah, 17-2 Ursa. Very, very impressive performance out of Korok. The patience out of him was, I think, what impressed me the most, because it's really easy to go in at the beginning of a fight, before the Unstable Concoction goes off, before the Grave Chill, and try to go for the kills, but he would wait every single time for at least one Disable to be expended, so by the time he blinks in, once he finally got it, that there was nothing to really stop him from going for the kills. Even heroes like Storm, he died in a tether stun. That's how much damage the Ursa does at this point in the game when he's level 16 and he has that third point into Enrage. So, brilliant draft coming out of Liquid. Rattlesnake, very greedy lineup for me. The Shadow Fiend really got absolutely nothing in the lane. Like, he had 1 CS, I think, when Korok had 19.
Right.
I thought the lane might actually go favorably for Rattlesnake just because they're in their safe lane, but they were so scared to even go to the creep wave that the lane accomplished nothing.
Right.
And even though the Storm was doing okay in middle, he got the first blood and he was farming, he had to spend so much time moving around the map that he didn't really get anything after like the first 10 minutes or so. So Liquid did a really good job of forcing the issue. They never let the foot off the gas, and they take game 2, and it's another 1-1 for today.
21 minutes, 44 seconds, the official game time, 28-12. Final kill score as Liquid gets a feather in their cap and looks good doing it. Rattlesnake, with that game 1 win, certainly improved their cause, but really, losing this game to Liquid might have, I'd have to look at the actual math of it. They might, if not totally and mathematically eliminated in all practicality, they may be well eliminated from any contention or upper bracket finish coming out of the prelims. Nonetheless, we got many more series on the way, guys. A long day of Dota and still a lot to come. LGD taking on Mouse in our next series of the day. Then we have a rarity for the group stage, which is going to be a West versus a West team. Liquid taking on Alliance to follow that up. Next to last series of the day will be LGD back again, taking on another Eastern team in Zenith. And then Liquid versus LGD International will be our last series, scheduled series, because sometimes schedules change, but our last scheduled series of the day. I'm really not sure when we're going to get our next series going. I don't know if we're going to have any kind of a break or if we're just going to jump right into it. Nonetheless, hope you guys are sticking around. Can't wait to bring in the next series coming up next.